surgeons around the world do something called penile inversion, where they basically use the skin from the penis to create the vagina. And she hadn't developed through full puberty, so to not put too fine a point on it, there wasn't much there to work with. Sorry, Jackie, she'll hate that.
The younger of the two shrews there was Susie Green. Susie Green was trending recently on Twitter. Susie Green is who we are going to be discussing today. Hello everyone, welcome back to Omegon 2 Electric Boogaloo. Susie Green is a crappy mother. Susie Green is also someone that has milked the attention to perfection. Susie Green has managed to make Graham Linehan look marginally less batshit insane than he ordinarily is, which speaks volumes about how much of a trashy person she is. Now, just in case you don't know who Susie Green is, I'm going to tell you a bit about her. Susie Green was formerly the CEO of Mermaids. Mermaids is a British advocacy organisation for gender variant and transgender youth. She served for 6 years, right up until her rather unexpected resignation on the 25th of November 2022. Recently, Susie Green has come under a mountain of fire, and I'm going to cite a few articles, go through the trend, play a couple clips that best demonstrate why she is a genuinely crap person. From early interviews in 2012, when her trans daughter Jackie, then 19, became a Miss England finalist, Susie Green, then an IT manager, was utterly open about how she first knew her child was trans. Quote, "As a toddler, Jackie always headed for the dolls in toy shops. I did the same thing with Action Man. It doesn't mean I'm trans." Further continue by saying, Jackie loathed having her hair cut. Most boys do. At the time, very young, Susie put Jack, as then known, on puberty blockers, and then flew Jack to Thailand for a sex change operation at the age of 16, making Jack, then Jackie, the youngest person in the world to undergo that surgery. In a YouTube interview that you saw, she laughed about how puberty blockers had caused Jack's penis to be underdeveloped. While acting as CEO of Mermaids, Susie Green has been advising parents, schools, the police, the media, and NHS trusts about how to deal with other children who dare to not be gender stereotypes. Susie Green was actually the very first staff member, because at the time it was run by volunteers. Under her leadership, she transformed it from a quiet, low-key charity to an energetically active lobbying group. Some writers had tried to write about mermaids as far back as 2017, but many were very reluctant to get involved with this, feeling it was too niche. I think it's important, for the sake of honesty, that everything be laid bare. One of the biggest plot holes concerning Jack at the time was the entire idea of knowing your child is trans because of intuition at the age of 4 because they gravitated towards dolls and didn't like a haircut. I promise you, at that age, I liked dolls too, and I hated it when my mother tried to cut my hair. Speaking from experience, you know fuck all. And the fact you put your child on puberty blockers tells us something else motivated you to do it. There's no version of this where you didn't have an ulterior motive. No other version of this where you weren't clearly inspired by something else pushing back. Now, Jackie has occasionally spoken up in defense of Susie. Understandably, the child usually defends the parent. When one journalist tweeted that Susie had castrated her teenage son and then arranged for that sex change operation, Jackie tweeted back, "I was meant to be female and thus had surgery to correct my small defect." Also saying, for a long time, I was told to play with Action Men and other boy toys, another concept I find rather silly, but I still wanted the Barbies and Little Mermaids. Small defect and corrected. That's interesting. Very interesting. Because to many of us, it comes across as a form of conditioning. When people are gender critical, they cite Jackie Green's story as a valid reason for it, and how what has transpired can be regarded as grooming because of how young Jackie was when this happened. When the path was set in motion, when an adult made a decision for an immature child who themselves was stunted anyway because of medication, unable to make an adult decision. The view should always be the same. If you believe you are something, you can only do it when you are fully developed and an actual adult. When your body stops developing, how about that? Because you have to go through puberty regardless. Interestingly, this favour the Mermaids charity organisation had seems to be shifting. NHS itself had to shut down its gender identity clinic for children in the spring. Attention then turned to Mermaids. Former clinicians at certain gender clinics have accused the charity of having a harmful effect on the clinic by promoting transition as a cure. And just to add something rather amusing to this, witnesses for Mermaids have had to defend gender theories under questioning this autumn, or last. This led to a rather interesting moment where the chair of trustees claimed, "I'm not sure that people come out of the womb with a sex. Tell me you're stupid without telling me you're stupid." Do I need to wake up sheeple now and clap? While I started working my way through the trending tag I just want to insert now, I noticed I was blocked by somebody who actually tweeted something I found quite fascinating. Jurassic Snark, thank you for the block. It was actually retweeted by Fletchington, who tweeted what? The same Susie Green who freely admitted that she transed her gay son to placate her homophobic husband. Do you know now why Susie Green was trending?
As he got mobile and could express himself, he was gravitating towards things that you would see as stereotypically female. I wasn't bothered. That didn't faze me at all as far as I was concerned. Children should be allowed to play with whatever they want to play with, even if it doesn't fit the norm. And at the childminders, when I went back to work, Jack's favourite outfits were the tutu and the Snow White costume. And again, that was fine, but not for Dad.
Can someone explain to me why it is that those that are typically considered the face of certain groups, movement, advocacies and charities are usually the crappiest people on the planet? There's no point beating around this. Her clear motivator was to stick it to her husband, or the dad. That, to me, reeks of, I need to do something to prove you wrong, cause. But this wasn't the reason why Susie Green was trending, because that clip isn't so fresh. In fact, it's a little old. No, the clip did its rounds along with the actual video itself. I've got the video, I've got the whole thing downloaded because it tickled me to no end watching it. Because it's literally nowhere on YouTube. In fact, someone has gone to an extraordinary length to scorched earth the living feck out of this. To bury the past. To bury what is considered truth. It's why so many people have downloaded it. Because they see it and realise Susie Green has built her entire career off of one massive deception and desire to stick it to the man, which we all surely would find
unacceptable.
And for good reason. The children are our future. It is not down to us to determine who or what they are. A doctor diagnoses that. In this country, for the people of this country. You took every possible shortcut imaginable, going so far as to travel to Thailand to force it onto your child. It is why you are reviled. For those who want to watch the full TED Talk, although it could be deleted by now, I'm going to link it down below via a tweet from Isadora Bright. In case you ever need Susie Green's deleted TED Talk, the one where she talks about how she had her son castrated, sterilized and rendered anorgasmic because her husband didn't want a homosexual child, so by all means watch at your leisure. I'm curious as to why TED deleted it. TED Talks are renowned for being this platform where you can speak freely about certain societal issues at great length without any real interruption, if you are more left-leaning, that is. Predominantly, in fact. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a bit disingenuous when you only show one side of an argument. Both sides would be fantastic. You'd have a discourse, you'd have a debate, you'd have people wanting to talk about these concerns, these problems. But TED Talk are hardly known for their intellectual credibility. Oh, and to add to that, because it is right to do so, yes, this is where this has been my TED Talk meme comes from, because they're just long rambles from people who themselves like to think they're smarter than they are. They think they speak from a position of authority, when in reality the vast majority of them speak from a position of greed, selfishness, narcissism, and obviously show they lack any actual intellectual acumen in favour of, yes, stunted.
Jackie's dad struggled and he blamed me. His thoughts were that because I allowed the Polly Pocket and the My Little Pony, that I was facilitating and encouraging. And I disagreed, and it caused tensions. What I had come to the conclusion with over sort of the sort of years up until she was about 2 was that I had a very sensitive, quite effeminate little boy who was probably gay.
At the age of 2. Do you realise what you're saying? These aren't things we think about when they're 2, 4, 6, 8. We don't think about this at all. We accept for who they are and move on. Granted, the time your child comes from, the same time I come from, to be honest, is hardly ideal for an environment to express oneself. But that is why we move away. It's why we learn to find ourselves. You are a manipulative cowbag. You deceived your son to score points. You created the ultimate trophy child. That is what you did. And you overthought everything. When people have arguments against you, their point has merit. Against the wider issue, not so much. But against you, they really do. And you should not be an advocate for anything trans, because you delegitimize so much of it.